We're good? Okay. Welcome, everybody. On behalf of the City of Bloomington, I want to thank everyone for coming. There's been a lot of discussion lately, of course, regarding the Metro Zone and the relationship between the town and the city recently, and I think it's important to set the record straight. Based upon the statement that was issued by Normal yesterday, the city still anticipates the town may file a legal claim to what it perceives to be its rights to continued sharing of revenue from the Metro Zone, even though it has now been terminated. I have always hoped for a positive outcome in this case, and that cooler heads would prevail. We've discussed the Metro Zone with our colleagues in Normal going back to 2014. The city has made every effort to work out a compromise with the town and develop a joint resolution on Metrozone. The city had several meetings with community business leaders. In these meetings, it was proposed that the Metrozone be suspended with a termination date in the future. The city was very supportive of this suggestion and from the business community, and we proposed this to the town of Normal. This was flatly rejected by the town on multiple occasions. The city then proposed that the Metrozone agreement be suspended while we try to work out a compromise of some form with an acknowledgement that under Illinois law, either party is allowed to terminate the agreement in the future. This, too, was outright rejected by Normal. It's important for the citizens of our entire community to know the truth about this matter. The city is not a bad actor, untrustworthy, or poaching businesses from Normal. These assertions are completely unfounded. The resolution that the City of Bloomington passed on Monday night could not have been clearer. The City Council believes that a partnership between the two communities is very important and that this region can be best served when we all work together. Although we were not able to come to an agreement on Metrozone, we still desired to get together and discuss new agreements and partnerships that are consistent with the BN Advantage program. I continue to be surprised and disappointed by the reaction of Normal. While we fully anticipated that the town would make certain legal claims to continued revenue, we did not anticipate their desire to end years of successful partnerships and collaborations over the dispute on one agreement. And frankly, an agreement that any objective observer would agree had met its expectations, its objectives, and needed to be ended. We have multiple ongoing agreements between the two cities that, of course, are working very well. And it's not as if, of course, we're going anywhere. The town of Normal was treated fairly in the Metro Zone situation. They've been left with a highly developable area next to an interstate exchange with significant acreage of vacant ground to be developed as they desire, not to mention an additional $7 million. We gave them over 12. They sent us $5 million. I would dare to say that any municipality in the state of Illinois would be thrilled to be left in that position and to have benefited so greatly from an intergovernmental agreement. I owe it to the citizens and the taxpayers of Bloomington as mayor to regularly review agreements with all of our intergovernmental partners to ensure that tax dollars are spent in a responsible manner. As mayor, I will always be open. I would hope that the town will temper its statements so that we can continue all of the progress we've achieved together. The city of Bloomington will continue to thrive and build on our huge successes, just as it has over the last several years. We are seeing great development and investment in our city, and there's no doubt that that will continue. We also understand that when a business moves to our community, whether it's located or in Bloomington or in Normal, that it benefits both municipalities. Thank you. And I'll be happy to take a few questions. I have another obligation, but questions from the media. I certainly can, and there's also a packet that outlines this in the statement, a copy of the statement that we have. Nora has them back there. We have a timetable going back to the fall of 2014, where we had some of the first discussions, and then it becomes much more clear what happened at when and which dates. Actually, we start The most intense stuff really was in November. Uh, in August 8th, is that where 4 council members requested the city to consider reconsideration of MetroZone. So there are 2 ways to get something put on the council agenda. One is for the mayor and city manager to put that on, or for 4 council members to petition. And this was pursuant to a request of 4 council members to pursue this in August 8th. It was scheduled to come at some point in November. I rolled it over at the request of the town of Normal from November to December through January so that they could pursue other economic investments in that area. And since about the first of the year, we've been involved in small group negotiations that are outlined in the timetable, Willis.
Have you had any communication with Normal since the termination Monday night by the council?
Well, it depends on what you mean by communication, but I did see Mayor Coos last night, and we chatted for a few minutes there was a labor forum for all candidates for public office in Bloomington Normal and I think Heartland Community College. And I suggested that perhaps we recontinue our regular monthly lunches that have not happened in a while.
Have you also, Kara, can you talk about the intergovernmental agreements, the ones that you, most important ones that you would hate to see?
Oh, absolutely. And I was, one is Connect Transit. And I can assure you that the city of Bloomington stands behind the money that we're giving to Connect Transit because we want there to be regular service. We want people, we know that there are people who depend on that to get to work on Sunday because we now have Sunday service. It's part of that intergovernmental agreement. That's one of those agreements that's working. We have a mobile workforce. And, of course, we were designated as the top small metro transit system in all North America before we had the more regular and Sunday service. And I rode a few weeks ago with a friend on the transit system at peak times and kind of talked to people. And most of the people I talk to use it every day and they're highly dependent on it. So Connect Transit does remain a top priority. And I certainly hope that nothing is jeopardized there. We will continue to provide water to the former Mitsubishi plant. And we've got emergency 911 agreements for public safety that I would certainly hope that we would continue to pursue. Those would be the top ones, Maria.
You told us yesterday that you got a letter from Normal leading up to the announcement that Rivian was coming, requesting $1 million in incentives. But you didn't say much more than that. Why didn't the city act on it with showing cooperation?
Sure.
These incentives that are fairly risk-free to the all inaction related.
Well, I think the city has been in constant communication with the town. In fact, I was on the board that basically dealt with the Mitsubishi situation for about a year. On Rivian, we were not involved in that at all. We received no communication except for a request, I believe it was in December, for $1 million. And given that we were involved in discussions on the entire area, I think that did play a factor. But again, we were not involved with the only, I think, serious offer that, as I recall, we were not involved in.
Mayor, hearing from the town yesterday, they indicated that the first request regarding MetroZone and the revision of it was in 2014, and they said that they had responded right away. I haven't seen the timeline that you produced, but they seem to indicate that their response sat there for 2 years before they heard back from the city on what...
Well, the timeline begins, and again, I'm not sure exactly what response that you're referring to, but the timeline begins when I had a conversation with Mayor Coos at one of I believe it would be the September 2014, one of our regular lunches, and I did mention that there was certainly support on the council for reexamining the MetroZone agreement. And he said, and that's one of the reasons why I remember it pretty clearly, because I was rather surprised. He said, well, if you do that, we will sue you. So I said, that's what I'm trying to avoid, because nobody benefits if we go down that path. So the other, the timeline, if you could take a look at the timeline, we can get you those answers to more specific questions. That's the first conversation that I remember having on MetroZone. And the response was clear and immediate, but verbal.
They were referring to a response from their city staff to Bloomington city staff that they said was
Okay.
unanswered for almost 2 years.
Okay. And then again, you can take a look at the timetable that we have, and we are in the packet. Where's Nora? What other things are in the packet? We have. So you don't have to do FOIAs. We've got proper documentation to give you an idea of what has really been going on. And so when I say we need to set the record straight, I really mean we need to set the record straight so you can see exactly what happened and when, and so we don't have this he said, she said, and as I say, where there's accusations going back and forth and bad blood. This is the time to be grown-ups. And frankly, there's a statement that Mayor Coos had said at one point on a different kind of controversy, and I would urge us all to do that, and that is, let's check our egos at the door and handle this like grown-ups.
Is it your concern that this could end up in litigation?
You'd have to talk to our legal counsel about that, and perhaps the town of Normal, see where they're coming from. Anything else?
How do you feel this might change the perception of outsiders about the community of Bloomington Normal who are in this sort of ongoing spat, including potential businesses or people looking to locate them?
Well, this kind of situation cannot help. But at the end of the day, businesses, certainly the ones that we've managed to either relocate or expand in town, are rather sophisticated as they're looking at things. So when Kroger's expanding, or Dick's is coming, Hy-Vee's coming to town, Green Top Grocery, they do their homework. And I think that it'll be fairly clear in looking at this particular agreement that it was outdated. It may have made sense when Mitsubishi Diamond Star came. At this point, it was inequitable, and an agreement needs to have two parties coming together. So I'm certainly confident that we in Bloomington are going to continue to grow. I think that that's the same way for the town of Normal, and be a very attractive place to invest for a lot of reasons. I think it would be better if we worked together.
Do you feel you are competitors now?
Well, I think the next few weeks will answer that question. I would hope not. Now, that being said, we are one community, but there are going to be times where there's going to be perhaps a little bit of competition. And I will mention, for example, Green Top Grocery. Green Top Grocery had two options of two places that they wanted to go. And they were going to be in Bloomington Normal. They either wanted to be in Bloomington or obviously in Uptown, and we both put packages together, and they came to Bloomington. So there may be times where you have what I would normally call friendly competition in understanding that businesses will relocate, and they're going to be making decisions based on a broad range of factors. So again, I'm hopeful and optimistic that we can all come together and have some kind of positive resolution to this and move forward as a community, because we have made such great progress. And I thought we had a great working relationship. Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.